So this is basically the epilogue. So we're gonna go over what Char's original plan was. Char's original plan was to suck cells into his Ravenloft, the mists. He received the letter, and he read the letter, and I'll let Charlie explain what changed his mind or whatever through. So go ahead, Charlie.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, the initial plan was all-out invasion and to conquer all of Thetadolyon, but with Dink's letter and what was in Dink's letter, where he had chipped away in the last battle at some of Char's null armor. He nullified that part of him, and in honor of Dink's sacrifice and him showing this new version of the King of the West the same kindness that he showed Char, in that he is giving all of it, everything that Dink, if Dink was to fall, everything goes to Char. And that even though at the time it may have seemed one way, there were certain other things in the background that were not seen.
And Dink had wrote this letter before before you all went to Ravenloft. Before they even stepped foot across, like when you all went to when you first left here to go into the staircase. So pretty much it with Ashram, because you wrote it while you were in Thetadolyon.
Yeah, I mean it was there at that last battle, that big battle between everyone.
Because in the fight with Dink, him actually showing up and doing what he did, he got respect back. So out of the same respect that he had earned then, this is what I did.
Okay. But as the DM, I'd planned for sales to actually become the new Barovia town.
Yeah.
So that has changed. So there's basically Switzerland equivalent that's through there. I'll have to see how that goes. But this is a moment, like I said, I wanted as many people here. This is a moment that I want you all to sort of talk about your characters, the ones that are still left alive. One, surprising, Heather didn't get to play it, but Scarlet was here from Faerun. She had escaped before the realms. Something was brought her here. There was going to be a fight, possibly, but instead Scarlet's been looking for that hat, because that's like a very similar.
I was on a mission.
Yeah,
not that hat.
Yeah, but the hat that Aang wears. A very similar hat brought her here. So again, over the next, there's a 30-year gap that I'll get to here in a second. But over the next year, like her and Aang get together. She's a gnome. Aang is a short human. They get together and they have some kids. So that's a big thing. The last Bajorn. So they'll probably offer you a job, offer you a position at the school if you wish it. Do you wish to venture forth through the world, or would you accept the position at the school?
I think I'll help the school.
Okay, so we'll go through, and I'll come up with some stuff, because they're long lived. So technically, that Bajorn could be at the school as an instructor.
Multiple personalities in you.
Yes, he's got two now.
Yeah, he's got a bunch. Which, not say anything. Omniball, or it's like he's going to pick every piece of any information for you, because you knew multiple realms, so if you can get through whatever. So, let's see, go through. Who's that? All right, Belle. your character. So what does Belle's here in this timeline? So what would Belle want to do? You know you can't go back to the Grove because it's floating off in space somewhere.
Belle will just continue journeying.
You know, they would ask you if you wanted to be a teacher.
Herbology.
No, so for like, they would ask.
Astronomy.
It could be astronomy.
Yeah, it could be because Belle's
or just nature or stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Just druid crafts, because again, there's no druids. There's been no one born with magic in 20 years. When this day happened. So you don't have to be an instructor.
Could I be like a guest lecturer or something?
Be the groundskeeper.
Yeah.
But technically, you could be. You could be the groundskeeper.
Animal
You're making
husbandry.
my day off not fun.
Like you can be the Haggard, or was it
The Hagrid.
Yeah,
Hagrid.
I could be
You
Hagrid.
could be the Haggard version of the school.
And
You have all your animals.
That's what I was going to say, as long as I get all my animals.
Yeah, so
and a place to my
You got a little
own.
hut on the outside.
Little
Right,
hut.
right, right.
Yeah, I have to add a little.
Yeah.
I have to add a little hut on my map that I've been drawing.
Okay, I could do that.
Okay. So a lot of the rest of you already said you're instructors and stuff like that. So there's a 30-year gap, and again, I'm recording this for the end of this version of the campaign. There's 30 years. Again, we already covered what happened to Aang, and Melania is this character. They end up having children.
Scarlet, yeah.
Yeah, Scarlet. Yeah, Scarlet. What no one accounted for is that while Hubshan and Dragonloft are not at war, no one said the gods are not. Shar and Bajorn that replaced Tyr don't like each other. Neither does Belny and some of the other gods. So the gods wage war for 30 years on Thetadolyon.
Belny's part of this war on Thetadolyon?
Yes.
She's a god.
Yeah, the gods wage war here. So what happens because of this alliance between Dragonloft and Hubshan is that they're going to sort of try to protect the outer realms, the people outside. They try to keep it out. There's two gods that sort of refrain. Shar does it in the background. She's really quiet about it. But Lestad's forces really try to bolster Hubshan because she's gotten really big. And things in the West are iffy. But the two biggest religions in Thetadolyon, when we jump ahead, are the Order of Lestad and Shar. Those are the two biggest. Because they're sort of opposing, and what's sad is the War of the Gods. The War of the Gods that happened, a lot of people were distrustful of the gods even less, because Thetadolyon was already cracked and broken because of what Sarek did. Well, now they're sort of fighting over this, and some are trying to create order, some are not, but the two biggest that are fighting are Melania and Sir Charles. Because
they're fighting against each other.
Yes, they're fighting. They're fighting heavily.
Yin and yang.
Yeah, because of this. And what's funny is Belny is about equivalent to Pain of the Griffin. Trying to balance. They're neutral. They're trying to balance it out. So while you have these two extremes, you've got these others trying to hold it back because people are getting hurt that don't need to get hurt and stuff like that. The world is cracked and broken. There's hardly any oceans left in Thetadolyon.
You are.
What's going on? Yeah, what's going on in Hubshan? Hubshan is still growing and doing stuff like that. But something happens 30 years after this. So 50 years after Sarek, something happens. Anyone that ever leaves Hubshan never comes back. And no one ever comes back in. Hubshan was trading. They were doing humanitarian stuff. They were doing things like that. Hubshan also was developing technology because magic was so bad. So thanks to the Auticifers. Urkel teaches stuff. They start building a train system. They start building little miniature flying ships. Hubshan has learned to harness arcane energies floating through the air. So think of it as sort of like the Force. Magic, the arcane is sort of like the Force, that you can get pieces of it and do things like that. But you can sort of power it like solar power thing. That's why everything is going to be low tech in the next one, or low magic. Because if you didn't guess, Maeve, one thing that not everyone saw, Maeve has all three weaves to her: the old, the new, and the shadow weave. They found it several sessions back. They found Slick and Mistra's powers. Mistra gave it to basically her aunt on purpose because she had to give it to someone. Maeve was given it by Shar. So Maeve is the new weaver of magic. That's why she's the Lavender Weaver, because she's the mistress of magic. Most of you all have become, you had characters that became gods, good, bad, and indifferent. Characters that you all have played that we've not got a history for. Like I said, we know Zeph's pretty much. Zeph wants to continue doing his business and raise Sona. There's one Bajorn that we don't know about.
For 50 years in the future, Zeph is dead.
So,
Yeah, but Sona's completely playable.
Yeah. So if we're 50 years in the future,
why would you automatically be dead?
Well, he was older.
Zeph was old.
Yeah,
He was human.
He was human. So Sona would have. It's like, do you wish Sona to take over the business?
Sona would.
Okay. So, like I said, I'm giving you all choices leading up that 50 years. I'm giving you all choices.
Unless we actually done what we said, we joked around with Zeph.
Oh, I don't have a problem with him eventually doing that. That'd be funny.
I'd be extremely funny.
I have no problem. So Zeph's body dies, but after time, he was actually what he was doing. He consumed so much salt, he became a salt golem himself. Yeah. So Sona still inherits the thing, but he's just So
he's back there hanging
Zeph
around.
is in the salt mine, just
Zeph's just mining salt all the time. So it's just he became salt, and he's just living around salt. So I have no problem with that. All your characters are accounted for, right?
Yeah.
Do we get all yours? They're accounted for. If you didn't know, what was the name of your dwarf? Emerwall. Emerwall was sacrificed making char.
Yeah.
So he was in the ritual, and all those around Emerwall. Like, if you ever played and saw, all the people of the West went over, and they did basically a ritual that turned the baby into char.
With the blood of Tiamat.
With
That's
the
why
blood
I
of
come out of Red
Tiamat
Dragon
and
Lore.
also stuff.
And my name is Sharir Mayakrix, which is on my character sheet. If you look at it, it is Draconic, and it means the ruler in red.
So that was all the way through there. So you didn't know. And what's funny is Christina with Paige got even because the person who killed her entire family was a Sir Charles from the future, or from a different Thetadolyon, and he came and he slaughtered he
killed my whole village.
Well, it killed a lot. He killed a lot.
Everybody.
So, but he's still there. That version is still there. So he's actually rules Tiamat. He works with not for Tiamat, but he works for Claire because Claire's still out there. But he can never love Claire, so it's sort of funny.
His punishment.
Yeah, his punishment. So he's always stands next to her, serves Tiamat, can't do anything. For those who didn't sit here on the Bajorn, Jack has had a very interesting a very interesting run with Bajorn. Well, we knew really early on that Bajorn was the darkness that we talked about from the beginning, like, you know, from the very first thing. It was the darkness. He was a part of it. But then it turned into, let's turn into multiple parts, which was really interesting. So that way you could, you know, always go through. So the pieces, and that came together today that you were in here. That's most of the pieces of the darkness, which, as we found out the other day, the darkness was Tyr. So he's all through. And that leaves us one left. There's one unaccounted for, which is fun. That one was with Goody's group, and Goody, well, is off screen or whatever. Goody abandoned a lot of people when you all were like, he just left you in the abyss.
I'm out.
Yeah, so he's like, you weren't devoted to me, you're out. So technically he's in the 9 hills. Goody saved him just because he thought there was maybe need for him, so he's in the 8th level of the 9 hills.
Was it emo?
Huh?
Was it emo?
Yes, it was emo. He's like, so he liked you. You were funny. So do you wish to stay with emo? Does emo wish to stay with Goody and or eventually leave him?
Be a great guidance counselor.
Okay. So Emo Bajorn, is in the 9 hells on the 8th level. Serving Goody. JR. Well, what character are there? Any characters that we didn't account for you that are left alive or dead?
Einkill's now here.
Yeah, Einkill's going to be.
Sonny's passed. Rocky's Sakuna Rocky.
Yeah, he's part of the essence of the Bulwark was ripped apart.
Yeah, Bulwark was an abomination.
Bulwark was the dark version of him, of Bajorn.
Yeah. And, of course, Sonny died.
Sonny died. And Harry became Sword.
And Harry is now a tool.
Yeah.
Paige and Dawn
Okay.
are...
Now, Dawn, you chose not to go for... So this is what happens to Dawn. Paige is still inside the crystal, which, like I said, it's like you're still inside the crystal with Tarkus. Paige is in there, and so Slade. You all end up being this legend, the Radiant Three. So it's like there will be some history on that with the Radiant Three, because you're not gods, but you're an idea that hopefully one day the Radiant Citadel will get restored, and the Radiant Three will bless us. Stuff like that.
With interstellar travel again.
Yeah, the opening, because everyone's afraid of the staircase. The staircase is an evil place thanks to Ashram. Everyone's afraid of the staircase, but it goes to nowhere. It goes to nowhere. But so, the elemental planes are weird. If you decide to use anything with elemental magic, Bozak controls the elemental magic. Like, he went and conquered the 3. He's like the genies there are basically all been subjugated.
Please don't ever do that again.
Yeah.
Subjugate.
Subjugate.
Hey, what? Oh, shit.
Subject.
Yeah,
I
collared Nothus.
Yeah,
Revenge was sweet.
Yeah, Nothus has been not killed, but he's been taken over. So the staircase is not completely functional. It is, but it's not. So that's a big legend.
Ziggy.
Ziggy died.
I know Ziggy died.
Yeah. So, but
there's a version of Ziggy that has a spacecraft in Eberron.
So, well, maybe. The one thing that I have not decided yet is whether or not Sarek. Well, I've not counted out. We accounted for your 2 characters. One's a
lesbian and one's embezzling money from the university.
Embezzling money.
Okay, that's.
If you're evil in that town, they kill you.
Well, maybe she sends.
I'm so
maybe
smart.
maybe she sends it to charity.
No, I'm talking about your alignment.
Yeah, if your alignment's gone through.
You just took over a gold mine.
Dawn. So. All right, so Dawn. So Dawn refused to be a teacher, but she's going to be a journeyman. She tried to go into the mists and never came back.
Oh.
So she was collecting data for OmniOrb, and about 5 years before everything stopped, she went into the mists, and we didn't see. She never came out.
Dang.
So
Rip.
we don't know if she's dead. She never came out. So, so that's I counted all your characters.
What was a patron doing?
Oh, a patron?
Yeah.
Well, see, I can't really talk about a patron
Yeah, I didn't.
just yet because we're going to go
Technically,
over.
wasn't my character.
So-
I just played him. So
You know, because I not got to
Yeah,
not
gotcha,
got to Scotty
gotcha.
stuff yet.
that's right.
We know that Scotty came up with he gave Sarek a chance to balance himself out, so to speak. After doing everything, he gave him the scroll of creation that could rebuild the multiverse. When we left, we don't know that he did it yet. We still don't know if he did it yet. I wanted to let you all vote in the most chaotic manner. It's like a private vote.
Oh man.
Oh, so he sends your answers over phone?
I like just whatever you all can send your votes whether or not Sarek made it yet or not. By the time our new campaign starts, it was not done yet in the 50 years leading up to it because things weren't cut. But there's a 150-year gap. So
did Sarek make?
How does Sarah even live that long?
Because he's human now.
Remember, times move different in the realms.
But he's human now.
Yeah, he's human now.
So he's a really flippin' 150-year-old human?
No, just that it's like he could live to like 70, 80. We only went to 50 years past that decision.
Okay, so we're voting on whether or not
Sarek read the scroll and reconnected the multiverse in the only way Sarek could. So, like, again, I'll let you all choose if he did it yet or not or something else. But it did not happen in the 50 years that it closed off, or did it? Or did it? The book became the Speaker of Pain. So the Speaker of Pain. So I'm assuming that you didn't stay around and stare at Sarek waiting for him to read it. Then you pop back over to Sigil and wait, watching Sigil in the Great Wheel.
I didn't think I could leave until.
No. When you gave away your book and threw away all stuff, you went up. So
No, I'm going to say.
yeah. So you're waiting there at the ring because Sigil is not completely destroyed. It's just crashing down with Thetadolyon sitting on top of it. So you're waiting for the door to open. So. Or not, or waiting for others to come to go get the scroll. One of the two. So, but you all can send me your vote on whether or not Sarek, yay or nay, reads the scroll, or not.
I don't return until the start of the next campaign.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So I figured it'd be good forward.
Yeah.
I
didn't.
But. That technically, I think I did most of the loose ends. Are there any characters I missed? Of course, yours was Kinku and Gikuku still fought in the islands. That island chain was destroyed. There was no one left alive in the entire island chain.
Sweet.
That we know of. So when the sundering happened, that's where it crashed into. The top of the Sigil Spire. So that like that. Yeah. So trading boards don't live that long anyway. So maybe they survive, but maybe not. Any other characters? I think that's everything. And with that, this is, this part of the campaign is done. We will before the end of the day. I just wanted to say. The title of this session was called This is Thetadolyon, and this is Thetadolyon.